how can we use these things that we know we don't want in the form that they are, which is just trash, but like how can we reimagine it, like the leggings or whatever, like the sense of accomplishment in like making the thing itself, but then using it and using it repeatedly.
And having it on display because you're proud of it.
Yeah,
not hiding it.
Yeah. People ask about it and be like, well.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, this is Allison Buford from the Food 52 Test Kitchen, and I'm here with another episode of Eco Series. And I have here Rose and Erin, co-authors of Making Things, and they're going to show us a few like crafts, maybe share some tips, philosophies about sustainability, about mending and making rather than buying and throwing away. And yeah, I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to learn a few things along the way.
Today we're going to make these little kitchen baskets, and I'll show examples maybe first. So I use mine to keep garlic. I also use one to keep kitchen twine. We use them for a lot of different things. They're made from bind wire, which is like a floral wire wrapped in paper. And we make them on a loom, which is Rose's genius creation, so I will let her explain.
This loom is based off of a knitting loom that you can find in craft stores. And
yeah.
It's usually a plastic thing with set.
Would it also be like
knots.
a cross stitch thing? I feel like I've seen it.
Oh, well, this, my interpretation, is a cross stitch. This is a little embroidery hoop.
Yeah.
So you would use it to cross stitch or to embroider, all those kind of things.
Yeah.
And I am taking this basic craft supply with another basic craft supply, which is wooden pegs or laundry pegs, combining it to make one of those plastic looms that you can find in a craft store. Why buy a plastic thing when you can just make one yourself, and you can make one to suit your needs, and you can make one that can come apart, and that kind of looks nice in your home and is affordable. And this is a smallish kind of hoop. I think this is a 5-inch one, which makes a good size, or a very petite, I should say, basket. Yeah. And then we also have a variation of the bind wire and using this hoop, and you can make a flower frog.
Yeah.
So then, what did you call it?
A flower frog.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, for making like arrangements so that you like your stems go in like a certain place and like stay where you want them.
Ikebana.
Yeah. We make like little string bags out of like not wire but just string. I actually keep my like garbage bags under there, like also in one. You can just pull one out. Lots of uses.
I feel like there's so many more that probably other people will think of, and I'm like already tapped out. I'm like, string bags, wire baskets, maybe hats.
Yeah. So it's essentially knitting. Like the technique is knitting, but in the round instead of with needles. I'll move this one out of the way because this is kind of the process partially done.
So this is ultimately going to turn into this?
Exactly.
Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you wrap around
two,
and then you're moving the bottom over the top and off the peg.
Okay.
Yeah. The bind wire is wire, so it's a little tricky to grab and to pull and to pinch. The string is a lot easier for this, but I think the results are definitely worth it. So this is just what you would call casting on in knitting. So the first round is a little different than what you will initially do for the rest to make the basket.
I'm not a knitter. I feel like enough people have tried to teach me that the vocabulary is familiar.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm watching it's like, okay, but this is something,
This is like a really, for kids, like it's not inferior to knitting with needles, but it is just kind of like different brains, I think, like work differently. And so for a lot of people who have trouble knitting on needles, they're like, oh, this is something I can manage.
Dexterity too.
Yeah.
Knitting's hard.
Yeah.
It takes practice. And this is less so. From now on, I'm just going to bring it in front of the peg. I'm not wrapping it around anymore, but I'm still going to pass the bottom loop over the top, and this bind wires. And then continuing from there, just bringing it over the top. And what's great about these pegs, it naturally tapers in and out, and so it kind of catches your loop from falling off. The first round is actually a little tighter than the rest. So the first round is tricky in terms of how tight the wire is, but you're just placing it on top of the bottom loop, and then you're pulling and bringing it up over and off.
Okay.
And then you do the same thing over and
over
over and
again.
So
over
I'm sure
again.
like once you get into the rhythm, you're like,
Totally.
Erin and I like crafts with lots of simple repetition.
yeah.
We don't like
and
a
this-
lot of nuance.
Yeah. This is the kind of thing too, like we're doing it at the ironing board right now, but like you can sit with it in your lap while you're watching TV.
Just
or,
like knitting.
Yeah.
This is it. And what's great about these tiny bags is you really don't have to do too much to make something substantial like that. These are tiny. The size of the hoop, the circumference, is going to determine kind of the width of the bag. And so if you want to make it larger, you just get a larger hoop.
Yeah.
Right.
You want to crush it, and then you can.
Oh, it's collapsible.
Totally.
Collapsible, and you can just
You can
build them
even-
out.
I don't want to crush your.
You can like literally just shape it like around that to create like a little hanging base.
So it's kind of cradled more.
Yeah, so and like it's just about zhuzhing the wire
Right.
to be where
Makes
you
sense,
want
yeah.
it to be. No, you're good.
Well, this is another like cord that I assume
Yeah,
you
this is a
braided as well.
braid. Yeah, that's
And- okay.
Yep, that's a braid, and I just tied into it. This is also a place where, like, when I don't have fresh herbs, like I dry herbs on this also.
Oh, yeah, and there's something in the book also, like where you can, it's beautiful, but you can hang them from the cord and
Yeah.
just bunch them together, hang them from the cord.
Human beings, like, we have opposable thumbs. We know how to use tools. Like, it goes back to like the very basics of like humanity is like knowing how to make things. We're used to being able to like buy anything at the
Right.
click of like a few buttons on the screen or whatever. And it's really, there's something really like nourishing about being able to make something
Yeah.
for yourself and like just see your own capability. Not to be overly philosophical, but I find it to be like a very cathartic and like empowering
Yes.
thing to do.
And you can make these while you're talking to people.
Yeah.
It's not full concentration.
Yeah.
It could be a
always
social
like
thing as well.
it could
Totally.
be a
Yeah.
TV craft.
Yes.
Well, sometimes I just find that making things with my hands like makes the work that's going on in my brain like work better.
Yeah, I tend to do my best thinking but again, like in the kitchen,
Yeah.
just doing like mindless prep work or something like
Totally.
that, chopping.
Yeah.
But when you're working with your hands and you get into the rhythm, and then it like
Totally.
you're not spinning in circles in your head.
When you're working on developing a craft or a recipe, having it in your hands is so important. Like you can't just
Yeah.
create it out of the ether. Like you need to be in it. And I don't know, I find that a lot of these, like I would write about the project in my head while I was working on it.
It's going to be small, but mighty. I think I did it maybe 6 times around. I think I'm ready to
Yeah.
cut it and bind off. So all you have to do is you just cut a tail end. And to bind off, you're just going to release each loop from the peg individually and then just thread the tail end through. And you're going to go around and do the same. I'm threading it through the same way each time from the front to the back. So essentially you're working the top down. So this edge here, the last row
Right,
you do
okay.
will be the cinch it closed, will be the bottom of the bag
Right.
or the basket, whatever we're filling this. Many of the projects in the book are really quick. Like
Yeah.
surprisingly quick.
Yeah. But also, if for some reason you need to leave it, like it's very obvious where you left off.
Right.
It's just wherever this is, you go to the next one. So it's
Yeah.
not as though, I don't know, you don't have to count stitches or.
Right.
You would not guess it, but this pot holder was made from my daughter's leopard print leggings that were disgusting. They were, I don't know, they're like New York City playgrounds. You get
Yeah.
this like just black knees. And I cut it. You can kind of see the leopard print, but the whole thing is made out
there's a
of
cool
them.
speckle to it.
Yeah.
Do you like cut them up? Like, what do you just make?
For leggings, it's so easy because you're just cutting loops, like
through
rounds.
the leggings, right? All the way from the ankle up. I'm ready to cinch this close. This is kind of the magic of the project because all you have to do is kind of pull and work around. Watch it like not work on me.
It always works.
It always works.
Oh, I see it happen. Okay, I see it coming together.
So now it just looks like
a spider web now.
it kind of looks like a weird spider web, but a kind of a mess. And you kind of have to have faith that it's going to turn out. Making a knot with the tail end. What's great about bind wire is that it's very easy to knot, and you know that it's not going to unravel because it's wire.
Right.
I'm going to cut off my end. And the fun part is just forming it out a little.
And there she is.
And there she is. And the more you play around.
Would this be your strap then?
Exactly.
Oh.
And I always leave a tail end so then it could come around and be a strap. This is where I give it to Erin, and she does her magic and she makes it really pretty.
No.
With wire, you just keep twisting the ends
Yeah.
to kind of hide them. What do you think?
Yeah.
And you hide this end. Yeah, this is a teeny tiny one, but come on, 2 cloves of
Good thing.
garlic.
Yeah.
You could take that
We have
home
so
with you.
many. Yeah, that's your
That's
take-home
your
present.
takeaway.
Yeah.
You mentioned the bag, and I think you use it
Yeah.
as like a farmer's market produce bag or whatever.
Yeah.
The cloth one, but do you have an example of it here? Or
Yeah, I do. This is the least glamorous use. This is one of them. This is just with string, and I keep my kitchen garbage bags, which are tiny. This is my cherries. So like, yeah, it's a very organic shape. So it kind of goes around whatever you have. But yeah, this is like, it's for your cherries, your cherry tomatoes. A bigger one, you can put your plums.
It works especially well if you're giving a gift like a bottle of wine.
Yes.
It forms over the bottle
Oh
of wine
yeah, that's
so
really
beautifully.
good.
Right.
Yeah.
Or non-alcoholic beverage or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
your first book was called Simple Matters?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Simple Matters. And it was all about sustainability, slowing down, simplifying,
Yeah.
whatever. And that's when I first kind of got on the Erin Boyle.
Oh, nice.
Me too.
And it resonated with me.
Yeah.
And how does this kind of tie into the philosophy
Yeah.
of Simple Matters?
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about that so much because it's been like a long time now since I wrote that book, and I don't know, going through like a global pandemic and having now 3 children, and there's a lot that's kind of changed. And I'm older, and I've been thinking about like what would I write differently, or how does like this book tie in? And I actually think it really like holds up. Like it's the same kind of ideas of like how does like consumerism kind of define our lives? You know what I mean? Like how much do we have a sense of ourselves out of what we buy, and how much more rich can that be if it's something that you're making yourself?
Mm-hmm.
How do you fill your home with things that have like meaning to you personally and not too much and whatever? And I think that this is just like the manifestation of all of that,
Right.
So like now I look around this kitchen and it's just like kind of endless, like the things that I have made and that have like kind of personal meaning to me. Like even this like curtain I made, the rope bowl, the things on the wall, and then there's like, this is my like great-great-grandmother's spoons that hung in her Brooklyn kitchen, I find such richness from that opportunity to kind of like fill your life with meaningful objects. And so I think in making things, that's really, and I think like that's what resonated. I think that my first book resonated with Rose, which is why we first kind of started reaching out. We were both drawn to that kind of like meaning making from things. And yeah.
I had a bunch of craft projects that I was sitting on, and I just knew I needed someone to partner with, like someone else's take on my craft ideas, because I come from like the artist, the craft making, and I just always knew that it was going to be Erin. It just took me like 8 years to convince her to make a book.
If you were going to do like a word cloud, but like resourcefulness, thrift, upcycling, all of these things are kind of like a theme throughout.
In my first book, I read about like, there's this whole section I remember about like junk mail and like just getting rid of things that you don't need or want. And like, this is like this is like a box that I folded out of an old calendar. And it's like, that's the kind of thing where like, that's the connection kind of like talking about like, how can we use these things that we know we don't want in the form that they are, which is just trash.
Right.
But like, how can we reimagine it?
Yes.
Like the leggings or whatever
Right.
into something that's like actually useful and also like that I love. Like, I love this stupid box I needed on my old calendar, like it's kind of.
You remember making it.
Yeah.
You remember the inspiration. Like, oh, that would be cool as this thing.
Totally.
And it took all of 30 seconds to make it.
This is also in the book.
Yeah, it's in the book, and it's just made from jute from the hardware store. And I use it every single night. I cook mostly on cast iron, and I serve it right on the table out of the cast iron. And so this goes on the table and the cast iron pan goes on top. And like, it's like, I don't know, these are all like everyday items. And that feels also so gratifying.
Yeah.
It's just like so, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like the sense of accomplishment in like making the thing itself, but then using it and using it repeatedly.
And having it on display because you're proud of it.
Yeah.
Not hiding it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people ask about it and be like, well.
Yeah, exactly.
I really liked this quote from the book, from Erin, and so I wanted to share it with y'all. On a planet increasingly filled with the detritus and damage of a consumer culture, we find great value in becoming a maker. If making things engenders even a fraction of reverence for our belongings, for the materials at our fingertips, for our own ability to be resourceful and thrifty and creative, it's a worthy pursuit.
Kind of trying to impress upon people, like, no, you really can. Like, you really can make a pot holder, and it won't take you an exorbitant amount of time, and you won't mess it up. Like, it's really kind of foolproof. Most of these projects are really kind of foolproof and can be made from things that you have. Joy of that finished product is so...
Yeah, it's so gratifying.
It's so gratifying. You're like, how could it's like your child. Like, you're like, of course I love it.
We utilize these things. We love these things.
Yeah.
They've been in our kitchen, in our homes. Like, we really do love these projects. It's not something we make and we keep it around because we make it and then kind of put it in the trash. It's like things we like truly would
They're
want
like
in our home.
workhorses.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for sharing.
Thank you so
the
much for
crafts,
coming.
The tips and everything. It was a nice discussion as well. And so lovely to be here.
Thank you so
With
much.
lovely people. Thanks for watching this Eco series. If you'd like to see more of it, you can check out the Food 52 YouTube channel. And if you want to know more about the crafts in this book, or even purchase this book, you can find Erin at...
I read tea leaves on Instagram, and I have a newsletter called Tea Notes.
And I'm at Rose Perlman on Instagram, but we also have a joint book account.
Oh yeah.
_ making _ things.
If you just look making things, you'll find it.
It's fine.
And the book is wherever books are sold.
Yes.
Yeah.